This is a review of Angela's Ashes. This is written by Frank McCourt. So let's get this started with. Now, firstly, I'd like to take a little note about the title as well too. Angela's Ashes is based on Frank McCourt's mother. It's actually about his own life, but Angela's Ashes, Angela's name, is actually about Frank McCourt's mother. That's the name where it comes from as well too. This book itself is about Frank McCourt's life, and it's a great book. In general, it's able to capture imaginations of people, and even years after the original book was actually published, which was published in 2005, no, 1996, I mean, it was published in 1996, it still became a great novel, and lots of people still acclaim it to this day. Decades later, he writes the sequel, Kiss, and it captivates people again. So what makes Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt actually pretty compelling? Other than the fact that the Irish stuff fell out of date, there were lots and lots of other things that people can go ahead and enjoy about the story as well too. Frank McCourt writes the story about his own childhood, and he's able to remember every detail, mainly because he had a miserable Irish Catholic childhood, as he says. Now, the ordinary miserable childhood, the thing that's worse than that is the miserable Irish childhood, and something that's worse than the miserable Irish childhood is the miserable Irish Catholic childhood, and that's something to actually go ahead and talk about as well too. This story goes ahead and talks about Frank McCourt and his life with his brothers. He only had one brother, only one surviving brother. He also had another surviving brother, but he basically lived his whole life with Malachi, who was 1 year younger than him, and he was great with him as well too. Frank McCourt didn't really like school. Of course he didn't really like school, and in fact he spent most of his young childhood painting stuff as well too. That's very different from what we expect him as a English professor nowadays. It's kind of a sad thing that Frank McCourt's dead now. He can't write more memoirs, and I don't think he has any more memoirs to write about. But Angela's Ashes is definitely worth your time, mainly because it's literally about everything about how you should live your life. How you shouldn't live your life, actually. Irish Catholic childhoods are pretty different. They were 800 years of reign, 800 years of British oppression of them as well too. That's something for the Irish, and somehow Frank McCourt himself actually asked himself, how did he survive all this as well too? It isn't really hard to survive as well too. All you have to do is survive some consumption and the odd bit of fever at the times, and probably try to give your hunger a little suppression, and you should be fine. At least that's not exactly as fine as well too. The problem with Frank McCourt is that his father is a drunkard. He likes to drink all the money he earns on the drink, which of course makes him full, at least for Friday night at least. Now, Angela's Ashes goes ahead. It's a great memoir. It's something captivating, and it keeps us hooked up as well too. There's not much that we can learn from this, other than the fact thou shalt not steal, but also historical wise, it's a pretty important account of a regular Irish regular Irish child's life, especially a Catholic one as well too. Lots and lots of people actually go ahead and think about things, and lots of people go ahead and read Angela's Ashes to read about the olden days, and back then when the Irish Catholic Church actually had a lot of control over the Irish government. Nowadays, the Irish Catholic Church still exists, of course, but it doesn't have as much influence as it has before. It has almost zero influence. Mainly because nowadays people go ahead and think that it doesn't really matter. You're going to go ahead and have your own flares. All these things, all these masses, all these, you shalt not sin, this is a sin. Those things are keeping us from going ahead and moving on to the next step. Also, beating people just because they don't know. They're just asking why that something happens. Why is it like this? Why is avocado number that? That shouldn't be a punishment, that should be a bliss. We should go ahead and encourage people asking questions as well too. We should encourage people to go ahead and want to know about the world. Frank McCourt himself goes ahead and write Angela's Ashes mainly because he wants to share his childhood and share how you had it easy, that there are people working harder than you, having a harder childhood than you as well too. So why should you read Angela's Ashes? To go ahead and experience a life which is way harder than you, and just make sure that you feel grateful for all the luxuries that you have in today's world. In today's world, Frank McCourt goes ahead and says that he wishes to be able to live in a place where he could go ahead and not have the Catholic Church on him all the time and saying that you shall do this, you shall not this, you shall don't do this, those kinds of things. Not to be able to be bothered with that as well too. He wants to be in a world to be like this, and he's glad that Ireland is like this right now. But then there's a little power gap in between, so it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be a very interesting to see what will fill the power gap. Power gap for the basic line. The basic line. The Catholic Church was the guide towards living life in the Irish Catholic life. But now, since that's gone, what's going to be the basis of the Irish life? Maybe it doesn't have to be Catholic. Maybe you should stay Catholic. But lots of people probably go ahead and not become Catholic anymore as well too. And that's Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. It's an interesting title, and the way it goes ahead and tells us from the poor's to rags to riches story. It's not a rags to riches story, but it's close enough. It's a rags to opportunity story, and eventually the riches are going to happen. And in this, we can go ahead and read up about about teaching high school, taught by Frank McCourt, English taught by Frank McCourt, and so much other things as well too. All that is very special. All that is great and awesome. One problem. Frank McCourt's life is the beginning. It's the beginning of Frank McCourt. The lunar eclipse, the lunar eclipse that happened the night before Frank McCourt left, his uncle Pat Keating saw it as a sign, as the beginning of a new Frank McCourt, while his aunt, who hates him, and his whole entire family is like, it's a bad sign, it means he's going to die there. And I really think that she hopes Frank McCourt will die there. So that's it. That's Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. Why you should read it and what's it about and what it teaches you about. And that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope to see you guys soon. And so until next time, Shannon out. Peace. Bye bye.